Welcome to Spanglish Friends, the podcast for true beginner Spanish learners.
Hola amigos, I'm Val, your co-host and experienced Spanish teacher from Venezuela.
And I'm Em, your Australian co-host who's been learning Spanish for 10 years.
Our goal is simple, to get you confident listening and speaking in beginner Spanish with content you'll actually use in real-life conversations.
Join the Spanish Friends community by subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts and following us on social media at Spanglish_Friends. Let's get started.
Comencemos.
Buenos días. Buenos días. And welcome to our 10th episode. Woohoo! I can't believe we are at our first double-digit episode already.
Oh my God, Emmy, yes, I can't believe it either. Wow, in today's episode, we are going to be talking all about how to count to 100 in beginner Spanish. This is so fundamental to start talking about things like money, time, or ordering things in Spanish.
Absolutamente. Absolutely, Val. And before we begin, we want to do our Spanglish Friend Shout Out of the week.
100%, Emmy, great! This week's shout out goes to our new amigo, Eric, from Canada, who commented to our episode 6, episodio 6 challenge via Instagram, which was to find a word with R, and practice pronouncing it out loud. He said ferrocarril, which means railway, and actually has 2 R's in the word.
Thanks so much for getting involved, Eric. So, Spanglish friends, make sure you stick around to the end of today's episode to hear about today's challenge so you can get involved, start putting your Spanglish skills into practice, and maybe even get a shout out in an upcoming episode.
Love it, Em. So tell us, what are the 3 things we are going to be learning today?
Yes, so by the end of today's podcast, you are going to be able to count Spanglish friends to the number 100 in Spanish. We're going to break down learning the numbers into chunks. Firstly, we're going to be counting through the numbers 0 to 10. Then we're going to hit you with the numbers 10 to 20. Then we're going to be doing intervals of 10. For example, 20, 30, 40, 50, etc., up to the number 100. Okay, now today is not just going to be saying 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. No, we are going to give you little tricks, little mnemonic devices that I've used as a native English speaker to actually remember how to say the numbers in Spanish. So let's get into it with these tips and tricks. Firstly, let's count the numbers 0 to 10. Profe Val, how do we count the numbers 0 to 10 in Spanish?
Okay, Emmy, let's kick it off with 0. In Spanish, it's cero.
Yes, C-E-R-O, cero.
Okay, on to number 1, that is uno. Think in this case of the card game Uno. Super easy, right?
And if you've yelled uno, you're about to win. Congrats, you already know how to say a number in Spanish.
Now we have 2. 2 in Spanish is dos. D-O-S. Dos.
Yes. And I feel like everyone knows this one, or they might be familiar with this one from various sayings as well. Dos cervezas, por favor. Like 2 beers, please. Now, number 3 is tres. T-R-E-S. Tres. And we have the number 4. Cuatro. Cuatro. C-U-A-T-R-O. Cuatro.
I always remember cuatro because it sounds like a little quarter.
That's a good way to remember it. Okay, and number 5 is cinco. C-I-N-C-O, cinco. And it's like Cinco de Mayo, the big party day.
Right. That holiday literally means the 5th of May. 6 is next, which is seis. S-E-I-S.
That's right. And it's pronounced just like you would say Simon Says in English, seis. 7 is siete. S-I-E-T-E. Siete. 2 very clear syllables there, siete.
I always remember siete because it sounds fancy, like a Spanish secret agent siete.
This is Agent Siete reporting for duty. I like that, Profe Val. Number 8 is ocho. O-C-H-O. Ocho.
If you are a chocolate fan, it sounds a teeny bit like Oreo. If you're hungry enough, imagine you have 8 Oreos, ocho Oreos.
I'm always hungry for Oreos. All right, then number 9, which is nueve. Nueve, spelt Nueve. Nueve.
And finally, we have number 10. In Spanish, diez. D-I-E-Z. Yes. It's quick, almost like you're saying yes, but with a D in front. So you say diez.
I like that tip, putting the D, like it's like D and yes, Jess. Okay, love this profe Val.
So to recap, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Absolutely. So if you want to recap those numbers 1 to 10, just play that part of the podcast on repeat until you've got it in your head. Cool beans. Let's keep the number party rolling. We've just covered 0 to 10. Now it's time for the next batch, the numbers 11 to 20.
First up, we have 11. That is once.
Yes, once. It's written the same as the English word once, O-N-C-E, like once upon a time, but you pronounce it like once. You can remember it like once upon a time. Now, number 12 is doce. D-O-C-E. Doce.
It's like dos, 2, with a little se on the end. So you say doce.
Yes. Pretty similar is 13, which is trece. T-R-E-C-E. Trece.
You can hear in the word trece a tres, the number 3, hidden there.
Now, moving on to 14, catorce, which is spelt C-A-T-O-R-C-E, catorce. This one, honestly, I struggled to remember as a beginner learner. So I came up with this thing in my head of it's like, cut your toes, catorce. I don't know why, but every time I remember 14, I think, cut your toes, catorce.
This is so random, Emmy.
But it works. It works. Tried and tested.
And then we have 15, which is quince. Q-U-I-N-C-E. Quince.
Yes, and this one is super important, quince, especially Spanglish friends, if you get invited to a quinceañera. Now, this is the big 15th birthday celebration, which is celebrated in lots of Spanish and Latin cultures around the world.
That's true, Emmy. Quinceañeras are a huge deal. So let's recap these numbers so far. We have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay, let's go all the way to 20.
Good news, Spanglish friends. For 16 to 19, there's just one simple rule. Yay! We love when things are simple.
Yes, so you say diez plus the numbers that we originally learnt. So it sounds like this. 16, dieciséis. Dieciséis. It's like dieci plus seis, the number 6 we learnt before. Let's apply this to 17. Diecisiete. Dieciocho, which means 18. Dieciocho. And finally, diecinueve. Diecinueve. 19.
So remember, it's just dieci plus the number, but it's squished into one word.
Okay, now the big number 20, the 2-O, is pronounced veinte. V-E-I-N-T-E. Veinte.
20, this is important to know, this is the only number you'll keep together with the other ones. For example, the number 21 in Spanish would be 21. You put 20 plus uno, that would be a single word. So you would say 21. You don't say 20 y uno. You don't separate them. Needs to be a single word. And then you have 22 and you would say 22. You have 23 and you would say 23.
That's right. And you can keep going. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And then we have a next number to learn. So just before we head on, Val, can you recap our numbers from 16 to 20 so they're in our memory and people can re-listen to this part over and over again before moving on to the 30s?
Sure. So, in summary, Spanglish friends, we have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then you move onwards with 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and
Okay, yes, so let's smash through in intervals of 10 to 100. This is our final section of today's learning. So the prefix for most of these, once you've learnt them, all you need to do is add on the ending, which is enter, E-N-T-A, enter. When we're talking about intervals of 10 in Spanish, you'll see the pattern emerge.
all right, first up, 30, 30, T-R-E-I-N-T, 30, similar to the original number 3, but in this case, you add an enta in the end, so would be 30.
Next is 40, which is cuarenta, cuarenta. Think again, quarter, cuarenta.
Next one is our 50, 50. Again, similar to the original word, cinco, 5, plus you add an enta in the end. So then you have 50, 50.
That's right. Moving on to 60, which is sesenta, S-E-S-E-N-T-A, sesenta. Tip, both 6 and sesenta start with S, so it's super easy to remember, sesenta.
The next one is 70, 70. Similar, again, to the number 7, but in this case without the I. You don't say siete, you say sete plus enta, 70.
Yes. Now, I found Spanglish Friends differentiating between 60, sesenta, and 70, setenta, to be very confusing as a beginner learner. I was like, which one comes first in the number order? So the memory trick that I developed again to remember this is like you put up your tent last, setenta. This is just a trick that stuck with me.
You have so many random tricks to remember, but love it though. Thank you. Then we have 80, 80. You have ocho and you add enta, 80. So you say 80, 80.
We're on the home stretch, so leading to 90, which is noventa. Again, nueve is our number 9, and we're adding that ending enta, noventa.
And finally, the big one, 100 in Spanish is 100. Think of the word century. A century is 100 years. So when you hear 100, you can link to the word century, 100, 100.
Woohoo! We have done it, Spanglish Friends. We have counted all the way to 100.
Let's recap this. We have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Now we know if we want to retain what we have learned today about the numbers in our memories, we really need to put it into practice. Let's do that with a little conversation.
So let's set the scene for our mini conversation today. Let's pretend that our Profe Val is going into a bakery store to get some sweet treats because it's her birthday. See if you can figure out what numbers are we saying in English. There are going to be 3 numbers in total that we say throughout this conversation. See if you can take note of all 3 numbers. Okay, are you ready, Profe Val?
Amiga, sí, comencemos. Buenos días, señora.
Hola, buenos días. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, muy bien, gracias. Hoy es mi cumpleaños número 23.
Oh, genial. Felicitaciones.
Gracias. ¿Me da una torta de chocolate, por favor?
Sí, perfecto. Aquí tiene. El total es $42.
Gracias. How did you go, Spanglish friends? Did you catch the 3 numbers we said?
So, the very first number was 23. Val said, hoy es mi cumpleaños número 23. So, to break the sentence down, she said, hoy es. Hoy es means today is. We know we learnt the word is in last week's episode. Hoy es. And we said mi cumpleaños, which means my birthday. And she said número 23, which means it's my 23rd birthday. And then I said, genial, felicitaciones, which is congratulations, felicitaciones. You can start to use this word, felicitaciones, whenever you want to say congratulations to someone in Spanish.
Then I said what I wanted to order, which was my birthday cake. I said, me da. Me da means I would like to order. And then came our second number, which was una. I asked for una torta de chocolate, a chocolate cake. So I said, me da una torta de chocolate. And to the end, M said, aquí tiene. It's like, here you have it. And she said, el total es, which is like, that comes to this amount of dollars, plus the number, which was our last number, $42. She said, el total es 42.
So, the three numbers, if you were listening and got some of them, felicitaciones, we said 23, una, which means 1, and 42, 42.
Amazing. So, Spanglish friends, if you only remember 3 things from today's episode, we highly recommend these following ones. Number 1, sequence of 0 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Practice the sequence over and over again. These are the most useful for all beginners. 2, remember, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are all unique and different. Then everything else is easy until 20, with 16, 17, 18, 18, 19, all starting with 10. Number 3 and final one. Numbers after 20, and then we also have between 30 and 90. Those are ending in enta. We have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then we also taught you 100, 100.
Amazing. This brings us to our reto of the week, our challenge of the week. We want you to tell us, how many siblings do you have? ¿Cuántos hermanos tienes? ¿Cuántos hermanos tienes? Now, to reply to this question in the comments, you should say, yo tengo, which is I have, and then say how many brothers or sisters you have. Hermana, hermanas is sisters. Hermanos is brothers, or if you have a mix, you would say hermanos. For example, yo tengo 2 hermanos. I have 2 siblings.
Great challenge, Em. Thank you. We can't wait to see your replies in the comments on Spotify or YouTube. Em, before we go, tell us, what are we going to be talking about to bring it to life, the numbers even further in episode 11?
Next week is actually our Profe Val's birthday. Woohoo! So we are going to be celebrating and also recapping the numbers as we've learnt today, plus learning a bit of the vocabulary that you need to know about birthdays in Spanish.
I'm looking forward to celebrating my special day with you all, amigos. Muchísimas gracias, and see you all next time.
Hasta la próxima, amigos. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you for listening to Spanglish Friends. We are both so proud of the time you're investing to level up your Spanish listening and speaking skills.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, follow us and give the show a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Or even better, tell a friend about the show. It's how we can help even more people on their Spanish learning journeys and continue to grow our awesome, supportive community.
Don't forget to check out our socials, including Instagram and TikTok at Spanish_Friends for even more beginner Spanish fun.
Congratulations on taking another step today towards your Spanish learning goals. Ciao, Spanglish amigos. Until next time.
Hasta la próxima, amigos.